Hi, I'm Dave. It's the Cyderbaby pod, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to Jack J Hutchinson yet again. Hello, sir.
Hey man, nice to see you again. How you doing?
And you. We just worked out that we've coordinated t-shirts.
Honestly, this was not a pre-planned thing, but I think it's
No,
pretty cool.
I think so. A mutual liking for the same bands is great. Can't
Well,
get any
I
better
mean,
than that.
it's a Sabbath t-shirt, so it's pretty cool, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Iron Man wore this one. I got a long way to go before I get anywhere near that. Um, Sir, we should talk about your new EP and DVD. You
Yes.
surprised me. I mean, you had a CD out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Well, I try to keep busy, and to be fair, most of this was sorted before the album, The Hammer Falls, came out. So I'd already kind of done the EP. Uh, when was it? It was when we were on tour last year in October and November. So I did the studio recording for the EP just before we went on tour, so literally like the day before we recorded the new track Days of Thunder. So it was a good way of kind of getting the band tight for the tour. So yeah, I mean it's been prepped for a little while, and I'd thought about doing a DVD for a couple of years, and then
Right.
thought, why not do something similar to what bands used to do when they do these sort of deluxe albums where you get the sort of bonus DVD and all that kind of the film footage of them recording in the studio and trying to act cool when actually they all just want to strangle one another. But yeah, so that's what you get with my DVD.
Oh, right. Okay. That's an insight I never really knew. Um, so you've used Kevin Shirley this time.
Yes, I mean, yeah, that was a great opportunity when Kevin agreed to do the mixes on the three tracks, and then the additional track, which is Days of Thunder, which is the brand
Mm.
new song. It's a bit of a dream come true for me, to be honest, because he's worked on so many of my favorite records, and obviously Led Zeppelin is a big one, but
Mm.
one of the big albums to me when I was a teenager was the Jimmy Page and Black Crowes record, which
Oh, yeah.
was sort of really a way of me kind of getting introduced to blues music because they covered quite a lot of classic blues songs on there. And so, yeah, Kevin Shirley's been this name that's been sort of dotted across the liner notes of many of my favorite records. Black Crowes albums, By Your Side, which is one of my favorite albums. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting to have worked with him, and the guy's just an absolute legend, isn't he? So to have him work on some of my tracks was unbelievable, really.
Yeah. I mean, you had a good mix anyway on the three tracks from the Hammer Falls, obviously a title track. Um, but what was the decision to go and remix them again, just for Kevin? Is it just purely because it was Kevin, or you just want to see if you could get a slightly different sound with it all?
I think it was about trying to sort of explore the different dynamics of those tracks, and we recorded quite a few different takes of the different songs. So what you hear with the Kevin mix is a different vocal line, for instance, on Down by the River that's on the album. There's different guitar parts used on it. So it's not just a simple remix of the song. So you're
Mm.
hearing really alternate takes. And so, we worked really hard on that record. And it wasn't just a case of going in, slashing some songs out, and then hoping for the best. It was really about taking the time. And I worked on that album for over a year. So
Mm.
it was just really interesting for me to hear those alternate takes. And I've always been into that kind of stuff, really, like the Led Zeppelin remasters where they had alternate versions of songs. And, going way back to when the Beatles anthology came out, found that stuff quite fascinating. So obviously it wasn't like we were just handing these tracks that had been beautifully mixed by Josiah Manning, but
Mm.
it wasn't just like I was handing them over to some random dude who's going to kind of do a mix on them. It was handing them to Kevin Shirley, and he'd heard The Hammer Falls, so he liked that song,
Yeah.
and so that was definitely going to go on there. Getting feedback from Kevin Shirley saying he really liked that tune was amazing for me. And the original idea was to just do three songs, and then Kevin basically, I think he sent me an email saying he was sort of he had a bit more spare time. He hadn't been able to leave Australia to go to America, so I think it opened him up for a couple more days. And then he said, "Have you got any more songs that you fancy me mixing?" And I said, "Not really. How about I do a brand new song?" So that's when Days of Thunder kind of came into the picture, and I kind of
Okay.
got the riff for that ready and stuff, but that was like the Tuesday or Wednesday, and we went into the studio on the Friday, recorded the whole thing in one day,
Wow.
and then bumped it over to Kevin, who did the mix. So that was very different to how we recorded the Hammer Falls, but it was quite exciting to work on a brand new song with him as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can tell. I mean, it's quite a fresh sounding song as well. I wouldn't say it's a million miles away from where you've been in the past, but it's a step, you know.
Yeah, and it's not a explicit reference to the Tom Cruise film. I've done I've done quite a few interviews the last couple of days where people have asked that question, and it's like, you know, it was definitely not something that I was thinking about when I wrote the lyrics. But maybe we should do a video where I'm, you know, doing NASCAR racing or something like that. But
What an excellent idea.
it's just I need to find the budget for it.
I'm sure your management will come up with that.
Yeah, yeah. I need to yeah, work something out for that. But yeah, it's not a reference to that film, obviously. But I think it's really cool, man. It's good to put some new music out by the end of the year, and
Mm,
it kind of keeps us ticking over as I start to sort of work and start to write the next record. So hopefully my fans will dig it, and it's something that is a kind of complimentary release to everything that's come out with the Hammer Falls. I mean, one suggestion was that we kind of do it as a you know, like a deluxe version of the Hammer Falls with the bonus EP. But I've always felt like that's kind of milking fans, actually, when they've already bought the album. Why would they want to buy it again with a bonus disc?
yeah.
Although I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff, and if it, you know, if there's bands that I really dig and they put things out like that, I always buy everything, you know. So I wanted to do something slightly different,
Mm.
and that's why the DVD kind of came into my thoughts as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that it has been a lost art as well. I mean, I think we mentioned earlier about uh like the bands acting cool and whatever around the camera, but you used to be able to get the videos back in when MTV was a thing, was an actual thing. You know, bands used to have like a collection of single videos come out, and I actually missed that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, you spend enough time doing videos that actually they just get released onto streaming platforms, or you put a clip on Instagram and then they're just lost. And actually,
Mm,
you know, I don't just like bung a video out. They're considered pieces of art in the same way that you consider the recording process of the audio. And one of the videos that's on the DVD, which is the video I shot with Chris Barris, Halo, that was you know, there was a lot of work went into that, and you know, it was a great day working with Chris, and you know, getting all those shots, and I think it's worth looking at it again and preserving it in something that's more tangible. And I
yeah.
think most bands don't really do that these days. Some of the bands that I'm into, like really into, like I don't know, I could pick somebody like Blackberry Smoke. They've released quite a few DVDs, and it's really cool being able to watch that footage. And you know,
Mm,
Zach Wild, Black Label Society, I've got one of his DVDs from about, it must be about 15 years ago now, that's got loads of his music videos on, and I still watch that DVD and get something out of it.
yeah.
I mean, the further back you go, the more ridiculous the videos are. Actually, when you go back to like the 90s and everyone was spunking, you know, millions on videos,
Yeah.
um, you know, maybe we don't want to watch too many of them, but you know, I think
Oh, I
for
don't know.
people
I
that
think
dig
that's Car
me,
Crash TV.
you know, it's not quite Shania Twain, is it? What I'm trying to do, but you know, maybe I need to get one of those leopard skinned outfits. But I think it's quite interesting rewatching it, and it brings back a lot of memories for me of kind of standing around in fields waiting to do the next take and eating sausage rolls, you know, that kind of thing. So it's very rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I suppose just to labor the point a little bit more because I'm an idiot. YouTube seems to have gone away from the video as such. Because you can now have YouTube subscription and whatever, you can play the music without the video or with the video, but not many people are using the actual video format. They're just using YouTube as a means to listen to music.
Well, I think actually, you know, most social media platforms have moved away from the way that they were originally intended.
Mm,
And I think it's kind of geared more towards these short bursts of information, and people really having kind of crap attention spans, and just watching things for a really short period.
Yeah.
And so like the video we've done for Days of Thunder, which we shot in a what they call an infinity cove, is it, in North London? You know, that's a piece of work that is as valuable to me as the audio. And so sticking it on Instagram for 15 seconds or Twitter, it just defeats the purpose,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying about YouTube. I mean, I actually had someone clone my YouTube about 6 months ago, and there was this DJ who was using all of my music on their sort of channel. And so all of my music going way back to my first record, Paint No Fiction, was appearing for someone else, and they were kind of reaping the rewards from that. So we managed to resolve that, but it kind of made me aware actually of how people were using YouTube just for audio rather than all of
Mm.
the visual imagery. I mean, that's what I watch. I watch tons of videos on YouTube, and when bands are on tour, I quite frequently will go on YouTube and watch a full set of a band that I'm into. Actually, early on today, I was watching a Richie Kotzon's gig from about 2 nights ago, and someone had uploaded it, and I love that sort of stuff. It's great to be able to kind of feel like you're hooked in with an artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where actually, as a musician, you're not just writing songs and playing your guitar and singing these days. A lot of your time spent trying to keep abreast of all of these developments in social media, because otherwise you just get lost in a sea of other artists. So it's a challenge, I think.
Mm. Yeah. Um, well, away from social media, you're actually doing a live tour as well in the autumn.
I am, yes.
Mm.
And we're doing a 12-day UK tour, which I'm really looking forward to. Which will be my first tour really since the beginning of this year. And we sort of took a bit of a break actually after the last tour. It was quite an intense run of dates where we'd had this sort of crossover with all of the shows that were delayed from 2020.
Yeah.
We ended up doing, I think it was 26 shows on that tour, which is a lot of gigs. So it was good to take a bit of time after that just to kind of write some more music and sort of
Mm.
plan for the future. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. There's some great shows on there that Sound Bay Festival in Swansea, I'm really looking forward to, and St. Austell Band Club, which is one of my favorite venues.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. There's some new stuff in there as well. Like part of the idea with the tour was to go to places that I'd never been to before. And you know what it's like whenever you put tour dates out, people are always like, "Oh, how come you're not playing Rosendale?" I don't know, like random places that you perhaps not necessarily focused on. So I tried to add in some shows in places like, I don't know, Milton Keynes, Winchester. I've never really played down there before. Not really played much in Norwich. So
Mm.
hopefully, hopefully people dig it and they come out and see the shows and have a good time, because that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast. I think I saw you at the not the Underworld, the Black Heart in Camden last year.
Yeah, that was a
Uh,
good gig, that, yeah.
yeah, it was, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to have a free slot in my diary. Well, I will make a free slot in my diary to come and see you again.
Yeah, man. We've not actually added a London date on this tour, and part of the reason for that was I did quite a big show in London, which was the O2 Academy back in February for my album
Mm.
launch. I didn't want to kind of repeat that, and I think,
Mm.
you know, I've gigged so much in London over the last 6 or 7 years that it's kind of my hometown now. I've lived there for so long. Um, there's no point just repeating it. So we'll save
Mm.
the London show and do something next year. One thing I want to do on this tour is actually record some of the shows and perhaps do some sort of live record, because I've never done that properly.
That'd be cool.
Um, we had plans to do it on the last tour and it just didn't quite work out for one reason or another. And so let's see. I'm thinking about a couple of the shows and which ones are the venues that I'd quite like to do some recording at. Yeah, because actually a lot of the bands that I love, like, the bands like, I don't know, AC/DC, for example, I listen to live albums more than I do the studio stuff. It's just
Really?
better. I think it's just more kind of, particularly the Bon Scott era. I just love
Yeah.
it. So maybe try something like that. I mean, it might be absolutely shocking, so then we won't put it out, but that's why you record multiple shows.
It's probably best not to invite me to a show that you're recording, because you really don't want me singing along.
Hey man, I'm on a Black Crowes live record from about 15 years ago. You can
Oh,
hear me.
well done.
I was completely smashed off my face, and I was just shouting. I wasn't even shouting Chris's name. I was shouting Eddie, who was the keyboard player, and you can hear me on the recording. It's terrible. But that was in my misspent youth when I was basically just drinking too much and smoking naughty stuff. So that's why you can hear me on that that recording.
Okay. So after the tour, what are your future plans? You've hinted at new music. I mean, and maybe a live thingy. So, what would you like to do?
Well, the plan is really to start recording a new album next year, but I'm not really in a rush to do that. I've put out so much music over the last 6 years that it's kind of it. I've started work already writing material, but I want it to be the best that it can be. And I kind of did that with the Hammer Falls, where the pandemic afforded me more time really to work on the record, and I think it's better for it. But yeah, I've just done some shows over in America. I'm going back to America in April, which would be cool. And then I've got some festival shows. I didn't really do any festival gigs this summer. We did loads last summer, but I had a bit of a break from it. And we've got some festival performances in Europe next year, which would be really cool. Yeah, just keep touring really, and hopefully get some new music out sort of this time next year. But we'll see. I think you can't. I think actually the pandemic has taught us to not think too far ahead, actually, and I think you've just got to kind of go with the flow of things at the moment. But yeah, I think it's all good. I mean, I just enjoy playing live shows, and one thing I really do love is songwriting. So I'm always writing, and it's one of those things where I've never really collaborated with anybody properly previously, and that's something I'd quite like to do in the future, and play with somebody who I haven't played with before, just to kind of open up a different sort of possibility. So we'll see, man. I mean, yeah, I can't give you any concrete plans, but it's going to be lots of new music. Let's just put it that way.
Good. Just collaboration to think of. You and Richie Kotzen would be quite a collaboration, I think.
Yeah, do you know what? He was one of those guys that I'd never really listened to too much, and then I got the Smith Kotzen album,
Right.
and obviously been a big fan of Maiden for years, and that's kind of how I came through it. Really was through Adrian Smith, and so got that record, and really, I got a couple of Richie's solo albums, which are actually it's really difficult to get hold of them. They're quite they crop up on eBay for an absolute fortune. But yeah, I mean, somebody like that who I always think about the voice, actually. I think less about guitar and more about the voice, and who I'd love to be able to sing with somebody and have a kind of opportunity to work with somebody where our voices complement one another. I've never really done that. I've done lots of kind of dual guitar shows, and when I did the RHR shows with Mike Ross and Troy Redfern, that was obviously like a triple guitar thing. So it was less about the voice. And I think that was something that that was a missed opportunity, actually, with Troy and Mike. We could have explored vocals more and done that whole kind of Crosby, Stills and Nash thing. Not that we're I'm not saying that we're anywhere near that level in terms of singing capability, but I think I love Richie Kotzen's voice. I love his voice as much as his guitar playing. He gets compared a lot to Chris Cornell, but I think he sounds like Richie Kotzen to me. He doesn't sound like Chris Cornell. So
yeah. I'm a big Winery Dogs fan, so I'm just waiting patiently for the third album to come out. But hey,
I think they've recorded it, haven't they?
They have, yeah. But
yeah,
why haven't they released it? I just have to write an email of complaint and stamp my feet a few times. Right, back to the EP. Where can we pre-order this?
You can pre-order it via isawmerch.com. And if you go on there, there's the sort of CD DVD box, and then there's different versions of it with like patches and plectrums and t-shirts and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, if you go there, that's basically where you'll find all the info on the EP. And if you want to get tour tickets, that's Jack J Hutchinson Music.com. Really snappy web link there for me to share.
Oh well, I wish you all the best with the EP when it comes out and the tour. We'll catch up again soon. And
I
thank
tell
you
you,
for your time.
oh, thanks for having me on, mate. And it's great to see you. And I feel like, you know, to be t-shirt twins tonight has been really cool as well.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a hat for next time as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, all right, buddy. Take care.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you.